Now I know there's a lot of videos here on YouTube that explains the differences between Chibson Les Pauls and Gibson Les Pauls. There's tons of videos out there on that. But as was pointed out to me, there's not very many videos those videos only show like 3 or 4 things, 5 maybe at the most. Well, this video is going to show you a whole lot more things than that. That's what this video is about. Alright folks, welcome back. Now like I said, this video is going to show you a whole bunch of things that are different on a Chibson Les Paul Custom and a Gibson Les Paul Custom. The things I'm about to show you, some of those may not be the same as what you've already seen or might expect. Boy, those glasses need clean. Anyways, I'm going to get the camera and go all shaky cam on your ass and bring you over here. And I made a list of stuff out here because I can't remember too good. Y'all know about that, I think. I want to show you a whole bunch of things that I know about that are different. Now, like I say, this may not apply to every one of these guitars or every Gibson. The place is haunted, but it applies 90% of the time or more. How much is a whole bunch? It's 2 half bunches, right? Or 4 quarter bunches? A whole bunch. So I'm going to come over there and get you and bring you over here and we'll start through the list. Let's do it! Alright, here we have a Chibson Les Paul Custom. Let's start with the most obvious things to check, okay? Check the Gibson logo out. Alright? See how that G, that flat side of the G right there, I should be pointing from this side, I guess. This flat side of the G, that should be just almost parallel with the fretboard. You can see this one is not. Definite sign of a Chibson. Now I'm not going to tear this guitar apart, but well, I am going to, but not in this video. Another definite way is take your truss rod cover off and see if it's got the bullet-like adjustment there or Allen head adjustment. Gibson's got the bullet style adjustment there. That's just 2 sure ways right there to tell a Chibson from a Gibson. Even the truss rod cover, you see them with like a screw up here and 2 screws down here, 3 screws in them. Well, this one's not like that. Obviously, it's like a Gibson truss rod, or most of them that I've seen anyways. The angle of the peg head. This one's like a Gibson. A lot of the fakes have a way more of an angle back that way. Not all of them do. Here's proof. But this angle, see where you're coming up from the neck here, and then that angle back at the peg head angles. What is that? About a 17 degree, I think it's supposed to be on a Gibson. Now, I'm not sure about that. Maybe one of you guys can correct me on it if not. Of course, we all know the Grover keys that come on them are fake. And they look like Grover, but they're crappy. They rattle when you shake the guitar. They rattle and buzz, make all kinds of noise. The saddle poles, that'd be these 2 poles right here. If you look down in there, you see a screw head, what looks like a screw head. Gibsons do not have this. Now granted, some Gibsons does have an Allen head right there. You can adjust with the Allen screw, but usually they have nothing there. It's just that part that sticks up. And also look how big these are in diameter. This part right here. Gibsons are not nearly anywhere close to that. Of course, if you look on the bottom of this for a name, you're not going to find anything. Same thing with the tailpiece. There's no name brand or anything on that. So, there's a few more things. The peg head, now this guitar's painted black and you can't see what I'm wanting to tell you. On a Gibson, the peg head will be laminated. You'll see where they've cut it to add these wings on, and it'll have a glue joint right there and a glue joint right there. I can't remember if it's on the outside of the keys or the inside. I think it's on the inside. But if it's a Chibson, that'll be one whole solid piece of wood. There's no glue joints there. And the don't have even very good light right there. This open book like thing it will kind of get distorted on some Chibsons. This one looks pretty good compared to a lot I've seen. If it has a serial number, and I'm betting it will if it's a Chibson, it will be stamped really deep down into the wood. And a Gibson's not stamped that far down into the wood. Plus, Gibson will have finish over the numbers. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's not got any finish over those numbers. Gibson will have. And that serial's completely wrong. Hold on. Now, if you look straight at a Gibson and look at a Chibson, you'll find those knobs are somewhat also distorted and not quite in their proper places. That's very noticeable. Many times it is. And a lot of times the switch on a Chibson sticks way out too far. It sticks out a long way. So that's probably why this one got broke off, in fact, because it stuck out so far. The wiring and the pots will say probably Gibson or CTS on them. These have no name at all, you see. Every bit of that stuff's getting ripped out of there. I bought all that stuff new. Thanks, Eric C, for the link. But yeah, and your wiring, man, it won't have these little cheap, very fine wires in it. The wires coming from your pickups will be a lot better grade wire than that is. Chibsons, not always, but usually will have Epiphone pickups in it. And a lot of times, if it's not painted black or red or some color like this, you can take the pickups off and look. And you'll find that's usually is a veneer top of whatever the top looks like. It's just a thin veneer over the top instead of what you're actually seeing. Like if this was, I don't know if this was, say, maple, flame maple, let's say. And I'd take a pickup off, cut down in there a little bit into the cavity. I probably would find out that it's a flame maple veneer and not, you know, a flame maple top as it would appear. These guitars are made to deceive you, and they're getting really good at doing it. I don't know if you can see the blue on these frets. Cheap fret wire is another thing. Now these frets look, they don't seem to be cheap, but usually a Chibson, I've heard a lot of guys talk about polishing the frets, put the guitar in a case, and like a week later they're tarnished over already. And those frets wear out fast too. These seem to be better frets than that, but I'll know when I get into setting this guitar up. Another good place to look at a Chibson is this area right in there. Granted, this one looks pretty good. Usually that line between where the black and white is separated, usually that is a very messy look. This one doesn't look too bad. Same thing on the other side. Show you how we're looking at the guitar. This side. Usually this side here, right where the black and the white separate, is not such a pretty straight line as that is. Now you can see here, this binding ends before it ends prematurely, let's say. I don't know if, yeah, I think you can see it. But that looks good compared to most Chibsons that I've looked at very closely. There again, in this area, where the black and the white separate, that's a good straight line there. But usually it's not on Chibsons. Okay, the very end tailpiece back here, this part, I can't put it in because I've got the inserts out. I got to fix that one that's busted. There, maybe you can see it. The tailpiece part on a Chibson sets back too far, back that way, away from us. Like it sits right here. Usually they set too far back. Some tailpieces set closer to the bridge than they do the closest knob, and it should be closer to that first knob than it is the bridge, like Gibson's are. Now granted, not all these Chibsons are like that. The pickup rings sometimes will be very large, like a lot of imported guitars are. A whole lot larger than Gibson pickup rings are. These, there again, appear to be about the right size, to, you know, for a good fake. If you look along the inlay very close, and it's a Chibson, you're probably going to see a whole lot of filler. And there again, this one doesn't have that much in it. There's a bad place in the fretboard. Several of them. But there's no filler here. See that? And that's amazingly clean job for a Chibson. Usually there's filler all around the edges, or around one edge or two edges. This one I can't see any whatsoever. Nowhere. You can feel over those with your fingernail. Usually on Chibsons, you can feel like a, you know, where they didn't level it with the top of the fretboard. Right, there's one that feels kind of funky. It's like it's got a groove in it. But yeah, check your inlays, check them close. Look for, usually I see a lot of filler there on Chibsons. Gibson, you won't see any filler at all, like this guitar is. And like I said, a sure way to tell, first thing to check that truss rod adjustment. If it's got the bullet shaped adjuster on there, you're good. If it's got a Allen head like this one's got, it's definitely a Chibson. Check that, check the truss rod cover, and check that G up there. You know, the light's glaring right in it. But check the, you can see how that G is leaning. This part of it, right, the very edge of it, is not parallel to the fretboard. There, maybe you can see it better. A Gibson will be much more parallel than that. Not parallel, but it'll be closer. Also, the logo itself. Now, you see this one's pretty hefty. Gibsons they're, I don't know how to say it, or how to pronounce it, or describe it rather, is what I'm trying to say. But this one is a lot fatter than, you know, what a real Gibson would be. Yeah, Chibsons are almost always got that large like print. So in short, there's many of the things that I know that I look for, you know, in looking for at a Les Paul, trying to tell if it's a Chibson or not. A real Gibson, you know, a lot of those things will be different that I told you. A lot of them will be the same. It depends a lot. You know, those Chinese folks are getting better and better at this. They're still fake guitars, but they're making it really hard to tell. This, forgot to mention, this emblem here in the center of the peghead. Sometimes those are offset, crooked. This one looks really good. I'll show it to you up close. Well, you already saw it, but that one looks like a Gibson. Sometimes even the whole peghead is longer. And this one does kind of look a little bit longer than I'm used to seeing. I don't know the measurements or what to tell you a Gibson is, but just you know, look at that stuff, man. You can tell with all this stuff, especially like I said, the truss rod adjusting head, the Gibson logo, that G, the way it's leaned way too much on this guitar. And the truss rod cover. That's 3 ways right there to tell almost for sure every time. Well, you can by the logo and the truss rod adjustment, not always the cover. Anyways, I hope it helps you guys, and I hope it keeps anyone from getting a Chibson pawned off on them. Y'all stay tuned. I'm going to build this guitar. I'm going to rip all those guts out. I'm going to rip the pickups out. I got pickups right here for it. I'm afraid to touch them, man. I hate to get fingerprints all over them. Check that out. Beautiful gold. Just need cleaned up a little bit. These are Epiphone pickups. Sent to me by Tall Thin Kev. Same guy sent me this guitar. These are going in there because I couldn't get the hum out of these. But it could be that wiring. The wire's got a funky wiring job. I've changed some of it and still couldn't get rid of the hum. Anyways, stay tuned for those series of videos because we're going to rip everything out. I don't know for sure, but I might rip the fretboard off of it and put in a nice 2-way adjustable truss rod. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't even know if this one works yet. If it don't work, I'm definitely going to do it. And I might do it even if it does work. So anyways, I'm going to order Grover tuning machine heads, gold ones, real ones, and give this guitar the works, man. It is going to be a super player when I get done with it. I would like to be able to walk into a music store and just take it out of the case and reach it to a guy and say, play that. What do you give me for it? What do you think it's worth? And see how many knows if it's a Chibson or a Gibson. You know, just see how up on people's game they are that should know what they're talking about. And I'll take a camera along with me if I do that. So stay tuned. That'd be interesting. I'm going to do it, I think. But I'm definitely going to rebuild this thing, make a new guitar out of it, make a player out of it. Boy, that thing is heavy. Wow. I don't know how much it weighs. It feels like 8 pounds, maybe 10. Super heavy. So thanks for watching. Cheers. I hope this helps you. See you on the next one.